think what's happening in today's world is when we see someone who allows themselves to be vulnerable, we lean in a little bit and go, wow, they're really real.
If I go back to that time and I remember how I was the person who would be hiding at the back of photographs.
You cannot be the best at everything, but you can find people who are the best.
As long as you can look at that experience and go, what did I learn from that? What could I do differently? That's the lesson.
If I continued to wait to leave my W-2 job to start this, I would have missed incredible opportunities.
I got off the stage and I felt like I was a jellyfish on fire because I'd gone bright red, I was shaking like a leaf, and I sat down that day and I remember thinking, I am never doing that again.
Welcome to Done Pretending, the podcast where healing meets authentic living. I am your host, Susan Houston, storyteller, mentor, and believer in the power of truth to set us free. This is your sanctuary for the soul, a safe space where we peel back the layers of judgment and fear to uncover the beauty of living real. Each week, you'll hear stories of courage, resilience, and transformation that remind you it's never too late to become who you were created to be. Welcome back to Done Pretending. I'm Susan Houston, your host, and I am so excited today to have one of my new friends, Lucy Dutton, as my guest. I had the privilege of talking to her recently. She is a certified peak performance coach, and she's really great at helping entrepreneurs align their mindset and their purpose and strategy so that they can achieve success. And I can tell you, as an entrepreneur, my mindset and my purpose have been something that I've been working on a lot over the last year. So, Lucy, welcome in. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Susan. I'm honored to be here with you. I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you. Now, is it your website or you call yourself the Grit and Grace Coach?
Oh, Grace and Grit Coaching, yes.
Grace and Grit. I was close.
You were close.
I know a little bit about your story, how you used to be so shy. You did not want to talk in front of people. How did you get to where you are now? Because everything that you've shared with me is just amazing.
Wow. Well, if I go back to that time and I remember how I was the person who would be hiding at the back of photographs. If there was only two of us and I really couldn't hide, I would be like this when someone was taking a photograph. I was like making myself as small as I could and just not feeling confident at all. And I got into, actually it was a health and nutrition company I got into just through a friend of mine. And I remember one day we were at this seminar and she grabbed me by the hand. She said, Lucy, you're going to come and tell your product result, right? I really don't want to do this. So she brought me up to the stage, side of the stage, and she started talking to the person in front of her. And I was like, I can go back to my chair now because she's not going to notice. So I went back and sat down.
Oh, how funny.
But she did notice. So she came and grabbed me by the hand and then she put me in front of her this time. So I got on stage and I remember it so well, Susan. I was holding this microphone. I forgot my name. I think I said what my product result was. I got off the stage and I felt like I was a jellyfish on fire because I'd gone bright red. I was shaking like a leaf. And I sat down that day and I remember thinking, I am never doing that again. Well, that didn't happen, did it? She kept on go up and again and again and again. And of course, the more you do something, you go, oh, I can do that thing. And it doesn't feel so bad. And I'm still alive. So after a period of time, they were asking me to train in front of the audience and train on stage. And so I remember that over that period of time, the personal development was huge. I mean, just absolutely enormous. And speaking on stage in front of 700 people.
Oh,
I know.
wow.
And it wasn't one of those stages where there are bright lights and you can't see the people. The lights were
Yeah.
on in the room and you could see everybody.
That's harder. That's harder sometimes because if you see people disengaged, it messes with your
Mindset.
mind.
Yeah. That's kind of the first part of my story as to, I think when we speak about things that stop us or judgments, I was stopping myself and I was
Mm.
judging myself in a way, but I was telling people, I'm too shy to do that. I can't do that. I'm not confident enough. So, and every time I told somebody that, I was always the first person hearing it. I was hearing it every single time. They might have heard it once, maybe twice. I
Yeah.
heard it every single time. So I was imprinting in my mind to myself that I was that person.
Where do you think that came from? Did someone tell you that at some point when you were younger?
I don't know if they told me that or if I just felt it. I've
Mhm.
got 3 older brothers and I'm the only girl in the family.
Yep.
So I think maybe because they were all quite strong and different characters, I
Mm.
was just the quiet one at kind of not the bottom of the pile, but the quiet one that last came along. And it must have been something in my character that I was just very quiet. So I'm a good listener.
Mhm.
I think that's what comes from somebody who's quiet, they're listening. So beware of people who are quiet because they're listening to everything you say. So I think that's
They
where it came
are.
from. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. But you overcame that.
Yes. Yeah. And it wasn't an instant thing. And I think until a certain point, I still was saying that I'm too shy to do things until I realized at one stage, I was like, oh my gosh, if I keep on saying that, I'm going to keep on being that person. So I've either got to stop saying it or I've got to say the opposite. So saying I'm confident, even if it was just to myself. And I think the thing I did was I just stopped saying it. Whereas now, as a coach, I would ask somebody to flip it on its side and go, okay, what's on the other side of that? What would you like to be? Do you want to be whatever that thing you're saying to yourself, like unconfident or unworthy or procrastinator? What's
Mhm.
on the other side of that? Would you like to be somebody who takes action? So keep on saying that to yourself. I mean, it goes deeper than that with work that I do, but if you don't like that, being a procrastinator, for example, if you keep on saying it, oh yeah, but I'm a procrastinator. I procrastinate all the time. Remember, you're the first one hearing it.
And it just becomes embedded in our brain and I'm sure you know the neuroplasticity. I had this described to me just recently. It's like a lawnmower. It just creates this groove and you have to rebuild that. You have to get out of the groove in order to learn the possibilities that you can be a strong speaker or you're good just the way you are. You're not afraid to try new things. You're not afraid of taking risks. And I hear that from a lot of entrepreneurs. That's one of their biggest fears about taking risks. What if I fail?
Yeah.
I always fail. It never works out. Well, no, it's not going to if you think that way.
Exactly. Yeah. That or I always fail. It's like there's a book by Don, I think it's Don Failure and it's called Failing Forwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so you're moving forwards because you're failing. And when you never really fail, you either learn or you succeed. And
Mhm.
so if you are failing and what you call failure, it just didn't work out how you expected it to, right? As long as you can look at that experience and go, what did I learn from that? What could I do differently? And then that's the lesson. And then you just don't repeat that again because now hopefully you've learned the lesson because you've seen the lesson. And now you go try again and you do something slightly different. And you just iterate whatever this thing is that you've been doing
Mhm.
just until you go, now that's how I wanted it to work out. And then all of those failures, or I would call them learnings, has
Yes.
absolutely served you every step of the way.
I love that. I think it just goes right along with the mindset about reframing what you believe about yourself and about your circumstances that you're going through. take a step back if you can and have a different point of view from it.
Yeah. And it helps if there's somebody that can walk you through that, right?
100%. Mm-hmm.
I've had it described in a couple of ways. It's like you're inside the jar and you can't read the label, right? Somebody else can read the label. And the other thing is you've got this backpack and you can't take the backpack off, and you also can't get inside the backpack because it's on your back. But somebody else can unzip it for you and go, oh, look, here's that rock. Here's that thing that's holding you back. And you go, oh, really? That's what it is. Oh, yeah, let's just put that thing to one side. And now that releases you from that rock on your back, and suddenly you feel lighter.
Yeah.
And those rocks can, they can keep creeping in. And as long as we've got somebody that can help us to either pull the rocks out or read the outside of the jar, whichever analogy you like, then we are going to be able to move forwards because we're allowing someone to help us. And I think that's another big thing, Susan. I don't know if you've come across that as well, but sometimes where we feel as entrepreneurs that we've got to do it all. And we don't.
Because we always have, right?
Yes. Yeah. And
Or we started that way.
And maybe because we can do a lot of things, right?
Yes.
You think, well, I can do that. Why would I ask somebody else to do it? There are a few reasons why.
That was something that I learned. I was an executive administrator for over 19 years. And I learned one valuable lesson from the amazing boss that I have was time is money. And you cannot be the best at everything, but you can find people who are the best and be willing to let them do it and realize that it's not going to be perfect, because entrepreneurs tend to be visionaries. They have this big picture. They're not great at articulating detailed. And I think that we get caught up, and it's easier to do it myself instead of trying to teach someone what I want. You hear that a lot from your entrepreneurs as well?
Yes.
If this episode hits something for you, don't keep it to yourself. Follow me and follow the show so you don't miss what's next. Leave a comment, because I actually do read them, and share this with someone who needs to hear it, even if they don't know it yet.
Yes. The time it would take me to teach somebody, I could have done it 10 times over. But, if you think about that thing of you can teach a man to fish, or you can give a man to fish, or you can teach a man to fish, then once you've done that training, they're up and ready to go. So it's slow in, but it's fast out.
Very true. And, with the technology tools that we have today, one thing I just told a very good friend of mine about this, I said, that vision board that you created with all your Post-it notes, I want you to go back and I want you to just record your thought process very briefly about it. And she goes, why? I'm probably not going to do it again. I said, that's not the point. I want you to get used to every time that you're doing a little piece, just record it, because this is going to become your playbook. That as you bring people into your organization, as you grow and scale, they're going to understand it and hear your voice on it. It used to be that we used to have to type all that out and create it all. And now you can simply record it and transcribe it all in one shot.
Yes. Yes. And I think using those tools to help us, again, to go faster, and using those as your partners, they're part of your team.
Yes. What do you find is the biggest obstacle that you deal with entrepreneurs?
One of them is the wearing of all hats. And yeah, but I know how to do that and I can do that. And the other thing is, I come across this a lot, which is perfectionism.
Oh, yes.
But I'm a perfectionist. It's not really, it's like, actually what perfectionism is fear. When you see it as fear of not doing it right, people telling you things that you don't want to hear, and all of those sorts of things, actually and you step into that fear and you do something, and you can do it a little bit messy, and it's absolutely okay. And again, you learn from that, but at least you've got off the starting block on that new thing that you were going to, whether it was, I don't know, maybe you're creating a presentation or a webinar or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It needs to be perfect. What is perfect? There is no
Nothing.
such thing as perfect. If nature
right.
waited to be perfect, we wouldn't have anything growing. It doesn't grow perfectly. We don't grow perfectly. We just show up and we do what we want to do when we're inspired to do it. And if we're not putting that thing out into the world, what we're doing actually is stopping us reaching the people that we want to impact. And I know for me, I'm here to impact people and to create that impact so that others can create an impact. I want that ripple effect for what I'm doing, right? And if I
I
don't
love the analogy of ripple effect. Yeah.
If I don't do that thing because I go, oh no, I'm not a perfectionist, by the way. If I don't do that thing because I'm saying I'm a perfectionist, I'm robbing them of hearing what I can help them with. And they are waiting to hear, if you're listening in, they're waiting to hear from you. So don't be a perfectionist anymore. Just get over yourself, lean into the fear and do it anyway.
It's true. And as we take people through the steps of learning what perfectionism is, what I have found is they suddenly look at everything around them with different eyes and they realize that no one's perfect. Everyone does it a little messy, just like you said. And if you wait until things are perfect, if I continued to wait to leave my W-2 job to start this, I would have missed incredible opportunities. Was it the perfect timing? Was it the right time for a lot of reasons? No, absolutely not. And was I completely prepared? No. But you just have to start. You just have to start. I have so many stories about CEOs who have come up with these incredible ideas, and yet they're not completely confident because they don't feel like it's all strategized out and in a perfect place to take to their team. So they either will not take it to the team and then they're behind. They're behind in their strategy. They're behind in getting people behind them. They're behind in what their customers need. Or they do take it and mention it to the team, but they're waiting for the fear of judgment coming at them. And it causes the team to question, which then does the same thing. It has that ripple effect of like, well, if my boss isn't 100% behind this, then why would I be there?
Yeah, because everything is energy and people pick up on that energy. Right.
Yes.
So if you're fearful and you're presenting something and you're thinking, I don't think they're going to like it. Well, I'm not going to, because you just put that thought out there and that energy is so different than, I love this. I'm passionate about this. You need to hear this. When you go with that even if it's messy, and you can even say, and it's all a bit messy at the moment.
Yeah.
That's not
And I don't
right.
have all the answers. And that's okay. This is why I trust you guys. Help me get these answers.
Yes. And that's the same. I mean, you're talking about CEOs in companies, but it is the same if you're an entrepreneur taking it into
100%.
the marketplace, right? You can go and say, this is the first time I've run this webinar. This is the first podcast I've ever done. And I would love your feedback because I'm just showing up and doing it messy, but I'm doing it because I love it. And people respect that because guess what? That's vulnerability. There's a lot of AI stuff around, Susan, isn't there? And we're not AI.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know where I've actually been doing a lot of investigation about this. Where did we decide that it was unsafe, unprofessional to be vulnerable? And it's a very interesting thing to talk to entrepreneurs about because they are scared that if they're vulnerable, people will view them as weak. And I think what's happening in today's world is when we see someone who allows themselves to be vulnerable, we lean in a little bit and go, wow, they're really real. It's nice to see that. Instead of that perfect Instagram, creation.
Yes. And I think that's probably where it started with social media. I should imagine that's where it started, because you see, and maybe a lot of people do this, they put the good stuff out there. Oh, this was the
Yes.
wonderful family outing I had. This was the great walk I went on. This is the amazing, client base I have, whatever those
Yep.
things are. And then you go, ooh, I'm not as good as that person. But actually, it's just stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And in a previous podcast, that was one call to action that I asked people to do is just post a real video. Your hair doesn't have to be perfect. Your makeup doesn't have to be done. And I gave an example that I went to go on a hike and it was pouring down rain. It started pouring down rain when it wasn't supposed to. And you know how you look after you've been in the rain without a hat. And, I'm ready for a hike. I'm certainly not camera ready. And I was just like, I'm totally judging myself right now because I feel like I failed. I didn't get this hike in. I didn't get the exercise in. But that's okay. I didn't fail. I wasn't meant to go on that. Now I have time to reflect on whatever it is I was reflecting on at the moment. And a lot of people commented, wow, that's so raw and real.
How wonderful that is, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness. What else are you working on? Tell me.
I've just come to the end of a 10-day challenge that I run called the Belief Shift Challenge. So that's kind of appropriate to what we were talking about, shifting those beliefs of being a procrastinator or being too shy or whatever. So there's been lots of movement happening there, literally shifting. And then
Great.
on the 12th of February, I have a workshop coming up, which is called Say No Without Guilt, the boundary blueprint every female business owner needs. And it can be males as well, but especially females. So that's going to be happening. And I've run it a couple of times before. It's a very powerful 90 minutes, up to 90 minutes, sort of an hour to an hour and a half. But if somebody resonates with that, and I was at a network meeting yesterday and one of the guys goes, what was that thing you were talking about, Lucy? I said, the Say No Without Guilt thing. He went, yeah. He said, tell me more about that. And so you just never know. There are people that don't want to, and it wasn't particularly that he couldn't say no. He was actually finding it really hard to hire his prices and put his prices up to clients he already had. And his wife is going, you need to put your prices up, you're better than that. And he just go, I don't feel like I can do that. I went,
He doesn't think he's
leave
worthy.
it somewhere.
Yeah, that's coming up on the 12th.
Yes.
So how do people find out about it or get a hold of you?
They can come to my website, lucyjdutton.com or gracengritcoach.com.
And it's an N, not an and.
It's an N, not an and, yes. So gracengritcoach.com. Or easier to just type my name in, lucyjdutton.com. And on there, you can get in touch with me. And otherwise, I don't know if you have notes below your...
I will. I'm going to attach all of this in the notes as well.
Oh, there you go. There'll be a link to it directly in the podcast. But you can also go to lucyjdutton.com/boundaries.
Oh, boundaries is a whole topic. I think we could do a month's worth of talks on that.
Most likely. And setting your boundaries is very important, and setting them at the right times. And if you haven't set boundaries, like, how do I set them now? And I had a client last year or the year before, and she didn't set any boundaries at all at her workplace. She's a seamstress at a theatre. And everybody was wanting her. Everybody was taking her time. She's like, I don't know how to say this, and I need the time, and they're taking my time, and I've got so much to do. I'm like, right, stop. We're doing the boundaries thing. And then I spoke to her about 2 weeks ago, and she said, that has changed my life at work. Totally. And she said, Lucy, you'd be so proud of me. I still had stuff to do on Friday, and I stopped at 6, which was when her time to stop. And I went home and I didn't think any more about it. I was like, yes. She said, it'll get done. I didn't need to stay until 11 o'clock.
Oh, what a huge difference. And, gosh, that is such a great message, because I think as women, we have always just gotten everything done that needed to be done, with our kids and our homes and our businesses, and we always put ourselves last. So by learning to set those boundaries and to be able to trust and walk away is huge. And what I've learned for me is that actually makes me more valuable because I can refill myself. I can rejuvenate myself so that I can then give the best at whatever it is I'm doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And Susan, did you find also the self-respect there?
100%. Yes. Yes.
So
And instead of being resentful that you had to stay and do whatever it is that you needed to do, I was proud of myself when I started setting those boundaries.
yeah, yeah. And actually the person that you set them with is the person that needs to have the boundary. So
Mm.
it's not you yes, you do need to have it as well.
Mhm.
But the main person that needs to have those boundaries set is the person that doesn't know where the boundaries are because you haven't set them. They're the ones that need to know where that boundary is. And it's like, oh, I can't come in here between this time and this time, but I can come and see you between this time and this time. That's fine. Now I know that that's easier for me because I know when it's going to suit you and I'm going to, the energy is going to be really good because you've told me
Mhm.
that's a really great time or whatever
Mhm.
that boundary is, right? But you respect yourself and they respect you more.
You are 100% correct. My former assistant just hammered me last week about my calendar, and I have my Calendly links open pretty much, a lot of time. And she goes, "Why do you do that?" She goes, "You need to really narrow that down. And that way you can focus on things during very specific times and build in the buffers between things." And I'm so bad at that because I think, well, I want to make it convenient for everybody else, right? That's where my mind automatically goes.
Yeah. Well, come on the workshop, Susan.
I so need the workshop. Oh my gosh. Oh my, this was so great to talk to you. You have such great insight. And I think that workshop is something that everyone needs to go through, whether you're an entrepreneur or even a parent, just everybody, trying to figure themselves out and what it is that they're supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah. And just for your audience, so they know, it is a workshop I will run again and again. It's just that as
Great.
I'm speaking with Susan, the next one is February the 12th. So if you miss it, then, you can get in touch with me and just say, oh, let me know when the next one is, and that's fine.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, thank you, Lucy. I will put all of your information in the show notes. And I so appreciate your time.
Oh, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Done Pretending, where healing meets authentic living. If today's conversation moved you, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow the show and leave a review. Your words help this message reach more hearts around the world. Remember, you are seen, you are loved, and your story has the power to set others free.